Everybody, Mike Lawson here with Experience Beyond Measure series presented by the fine folks at Cantissimo Senior Living, your innovative source of lifestyle and wellness information for the 55 and over community. As your trusted advisor, Cantissimo Senior Living provides connections for active adults and their families in 3 areas. Number 1, connections to inspire information resources for daily living. Number 2, connections with family, friends, and like-minded people the world over. And 3, connections to the best in living lifestyles. And it's all delivered in simple, straightforward language. Cantissimo Senior Living helps individuals discover the vibrant, worry-free lives they have always envisioned. And to that end, we are happy to present this video interview series featuring guests speaking on a broad range of topics focused on healthy and happy aging. Hey everybody, Mike Lawson here with Cantissimo Senior Living. We are here with doing our Experience Beyond Measure video series. And today's guest is Jennifer Thorson, Executive Director of the Harbor Senior Living of Fridley. Jennifer, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. So again, we're doing these video series, Experience Beyond Measure. And today we're talking to you about, you're obviously the executive director at the Harbor Senior Living. So what does that role entail at the Harbors?
Oh boy, that entails
a little of everything.
Every role. The buck stops here.
All right.
No, really, I oversee the daily operations here. So I oversee all the employees, make sure that everything is running, is streamlined and running flawlessly. I meet with the families. I do all the admissions on the business end, I should say, and lease signings, and yeah, I get to do the fun stuff.
Yay! Every day's an adventure. It sounds like.
Yes. Yes.
So how did you get here? Give us a quick background on how you got to where you are right now.
So I grew up in radio. I come from radio down in Iowa. And about 11 years ago, I was in 12 years ago, I was in radio sales. And I found a position up here in Pine City, Minnesota. And I got my first management job. So I was managing a cluster of radio stations up in Pine City, and loved it. I love marketing. I love talking to people. I love selling product. And one of my most favorite industries or businesses that I had to work with or do advertising proposals for was senior living. It was something that came so natural to me. I would often find myself just wanting to stop in just to say hi to the executive director and see some residents. And it's just, I felt this sense of like comfort and just feeling like I belonged here. And so after about a year of doing advertising proposals with this specific company, I came home and I talked to my husband, and we had infant twin boys at the time, and I was commuting a little over an hour, and I said, I think I want to change the industry I'm in.
Wow.
And radio is the only thing I've ever known.
Yeah.
And I said, I really like senior living. So I went on and looked at the job ads, and I found a position for a marketing director for a senior living campus closer to home, and went all in. I got the job and I loved it. It was my calling, being in this industry.
Wow.
And so, I am a go-getter. I am somebody that doesn't like to sit still at all. So I'm like, okay, I'm like 2 years into this job. Now I want more. And so I became really close friends with the housing director over there and said, I want this. I want to be the executive director. I want to have my own personal spin on an entire community and bring my visions to life. And so I said, in the next 5 years, I would love to be an executive director. Well, that actually sped up within 6 months of making that statement. And I found the Harbor Senior Living, and it was still being built, and went in and I got the position, and I have been here from the ground up, and I love it. Wow. It is exactly what I want to do, where I need to be.
So you pretty much laid out your vision from day one with this.
Yeah.
Place. So that's really cool. Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Fingerprints are all over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a great opportunity. So what's you mentioned that radio was really a passion, and then now you found your calling, and that kind of leads me to my next question is like, what's your mission or passion in life, and how does it translate into your vision at Harbor, since you've been there since day one, and it's really kind of your baby, it sounds like.
Yeah. My mission in life, my true passion has always been, and this is something that my family can even contest for and say, is I love being able to do little surprises and do random acts of kindness. And I love just being able to, I guess, make somebody's day. I go through life with a yes approach. I tell all my employees, there is never going to be a request too big that I want you to feel intimidated coming to me for. I want to be able to empower people and also have that small family-like feeling. I want people to feel like they're just a branch off of my family tree. And, I'm everybody's granddaughter and everybody's mom and sister and whatnot. And coming into a community that is brand new, I was able to implement and execute on my visions of being one family and being able to keep that smallness and that tight-knit community together at all times without having it feel too corporate ran.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get it for sure. Yeah. And having said that, so, how should a senior living facility, how should they be laid out?
Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion, I believe I am one that I do not like the definition of, if you have Alzheimer's or dementia, you have to go to this specific wing or this specific floor, and that's where you're going to live for the rest of your life. I am somebody that you deserve, you only get one shot at life, and you deserve it all the way through the end of life, that you get your dignity and your privacy and the respect that you deserve. Yep. And so what we have here at the Harbors is we're integrated. We don't have a dedicated memory care floor. They're able to live amongst everybody else here.
Good for you.
Which is huge for my residents, because you see people that have moved from communities that were on a specific memory care floor, and they were just very mum and isolated and didn't open up to where they move here, and they're interacting with so many different residents that they're coming out of shells and thriving more. And it also helps the families too, because the top 5 things of families is, I should say, probably the number one thing families are when you're hit with that diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, is denial. It's just something, I can't believe my mom and dad has this, and they aren't this far advanced and whatnot. It's denial. And so being integrated and having them choose whatever apartment they want, wherever in this building, gives them that sense of peace of, okay, they aren't this far advanced or whatnot, and they can truly see how they age through the process, and not have to worry about, this is the start and end zone for them because of one diagnosis.
Right. And having said that, so how do you make life enjoyable for residents? Because everybody's integrated, everyone's doing everything, and so it sounds like one big party almost. But it is. I'm being facetious.
It is. It all comes back to just the family approach. You will find often here our activity director, she's spending one-on-one time with our residents. She's going in there, and just because we had a big group activity, if somebody was just not feeling up to doing that or whatnot, you're going to see her playing or putting a puzzle together, or doing some kind of an art project with them, or doing a baking experiment with them. It truly feels like coming to grandma's place. Everything is unlimited. Everything, the options are endless for our residents here. You'll see our chef putting together a personal recipe for one of our residents' favorite recipe from home. It's just how can we make the rest of these residents' lives and our family members' life the best life possible.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing. There's so many cliches and stereotypes of what assisted living is and memory care, and people think of it as like the old-fashioned nursing home, and it's not that at all.
Yeah.
So just because they can't be living at the home that they have been in for so many years doesn't mean that that home life has to stop or be changed because they moved over here.
Right. And that leads me to my next question is like, what does the Harbors do to change images of nursing homes? I mean, I think you kind of alluded to it in your previous response.
Yeah, so, we aren't institutional at all. We are very home-like. You walk in and you have piano music, via CD playing. Everybody has an individual apartment that is, painted with earth tones, and they can bring their own furniture in. So they're able to set up their apartment with all their own home furnishings, which brings them, being more familiar with their surroundings. We just have one big dining room that everybody comes down to the tables and sits and dines. It truly just feels like a big, large home where everybody is able to, feel familiar and comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And it's not that institutional where you have, the hard surface floors and the med carts in the halls and call lights going off and everything. It's very tranquil and peaceful here.
And that's the way it should be. So what advice would you give someone considering a senior living community? What's your advice in this area?
My advice is absolutely do your research. Don't be rushed into it, and do your research early, because otherwise you will be rushed into it. There's going to be an emergency that happens and they don't have the chance or the luxury to look around. But really study the management, ask them every question, see how transparent they are with you, and how open they are with giving you information. Ask to come for a guest meal and try their food. Yeah. Ask if your loved one can come in for an activity. I'm a big one before you buy it, and I am all for it. What you see on my tour or what you see before you move in is what you're going to get afterwards too. It's not just a sales pitch to try to get you in. And there are some communities that are like that. And, I strive never to be like that. So definitely just do your research and take your time in the process.
Yeah. And it's so important. I'm so glad you guys are kind of separating yourselves from that and really actually rising above that. So I'm hoping you're setting the standard for future communities. Yes. And I'm going to move into a sensitive area here, COVID. Let's talk COVID here for a second, because that's a big issue with senior living communities. So how has it affected your community, if at all?
Yep. So in my own personal opinion, every community is going to get affected one way or another. Oh. We did have an outbreak. We had a small outbreak in May when it first hit, but we were able to overcome it. We were only down, I gotta see what I can all share right now. You can edit this out, right?
Oh, completely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, hold on here.
We don't even have to we don't have to even talk COVID if you don't want to.
No, I do want to talk. I just don't want to get to the statistics because it's so out there right now. Because we did have an outbreak in May. I did lose 2 residents, but we have definitely rebounded from then, and we've stayed COVID free for the remainder of the year, which is huge. Mm-hmm. And doing our, we take the policies and procedures that the state is giving us very serious, as far as the daily screening for our residents, the daily screening for our employees. We do weekly PCR tests with Park Nicollet Lab that comes in. So we try to stay on top of it. We have isolated residents who did have it back in May to one wing of the building. And assigned only a certain amount of caregivers, and those caregivers were set to be with COVID residents only. So we were able to, I guess, what's the word? I'm at a complete loss for words.
Keep it contained, I guess, or?
Yes, keep it contained in one area and being able to really overcome it. Mm-hmm. And it's such a moving target, and there's so many things that get added every single day.
Oh my gosh!
Of what you need to do, being a healthcare community and whatnot. So,
how has the vaccination experience been for you guys? Because you're in the age group of those folks who are up first, basically those and the first responders and that type of stuff. So, how has that experience been so far?
It's been great. We were able to get in on one of the first drops here in Minnesota. So our residents and employees were able to get the first vaccination January 10th. And our second is actually tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Where everybody will be vaccinated and we can finally start returning back to some normalcy here in a couple of weeks.
Hallelujah.
So, yes.
Well, having said that, I mean, should folks consider senior living facilities during COVID? I know hopefully we're on the tail end of this now, but should folks consider?
Absolutely. I am always one that says your loved one is the safest here. We are the ones that have the medical needs, very at our fingertips here. We have resources that can get help if we need to have the help. Don't be scared of moving your loved one into a community, because if anything, we are on top of more than what, I guess a single family would know when it comes to like the CDC and the guidelines and everything, and being sanitized and sterilized and everything like that. So yes, absolutely. Yeah,
your guys are like on the forefront of that knowledge. So, I mean, so that's an advantage, I would think. So,
right. Yes.
Indeed. All right, let's switch gears here to looking forward. Just have a couple more questions here. So let's say, what will the long-term effects be on this industry from COVID? Because I think my perspective is that it's going to do a lot of good for the industry. It's going to really kind of up everyone's game in this area. So how do you see it and how we're getting past that?
It's definitely good. It has put so much emergency preparedness into all of the communities to where, everybody kind of rode the gray line of, if something were to ever happen or an outbreak. Well, it actually happened. And so it's kept us on our toes. It's kept us up to date on what we need to know, the resources we need to get at, how to stay prepared if another outbreak becomes, so there isn't that shortage. Now more than ever, we're more prepared to tackle any type of an outbreak. And, it's kind of a blessing in disguise having gone through it, because we're more knowledgeable of it. We know exactly, we experienced it, we went through it, we survived it. And this is what we know, and this is how we need to continue to implement these policies and procedures moving forward if unfortunately another outbreak of some sort were to happen.
Right. Yeah, you guys are better prepared. So you have plans and all that type of stuff. I mean, your guys are like in the same boat as many other industries out there we're all more educated about it now. And so we're able to handle it much better. And we have plans set in place as you guys do. So we're all better people for it. And, and hopefully we'll get past it pretty darn soon. So having said that, anything else to share with us on this topic and what you guys do at the harbors and how you guys are really rising above and really setting a new standard for senior living communities?
Yeah, here at the harbors, like I said, it goes back to like my passion and my mission in life is I want our community and communities, as we continue to grow, to stand apart from all the other communities. I don't ever want it to be have that corporate ran feel to where it has to be this way. It's always been this way. I'm huge on change. I welcome change. I love change, and I love ideas. If somebody has a different approach at something or thinks that we should do something different, I'm all for it to try it. And I welcome families to offer advice too. We're all in this together. And the whole reason why we're here is because of your loved one. So I want them to have input, and how can we implement that and execute that into, a new policy or a new procedure of what we do or whatnot. It's just, I want to be set apart from all those other communities that kind of just go by the book, never go off the book. I like to ride that gray line a lot.
Good for you. So, yeah, because again, it sounds like you guys are really setting the standard. You guys can be kind of a resource to look to really set these communities in new ways and new fun and innovative ways. So really good stuff. All right, Jennifer. Well, that's it. Thank you so much. Okay. I appreciate your time and this information. And this is awesome. And congrats on your position there.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anything.